I'm sorry, not good on television and not very smart, which is one of the reasons why she did get fired from MSNBC. I mean, they couldn't have that kind of vitriol. Not when they're trying to, also have an FCC run network. What do you think the Versant deal is all about? Getting Comcast and NBC as far away from MSNBC as they possibly can. I mean, they already got rid of Joy, but they got more work to do. So now she's not on TV anymore. She's out doing some podcasts that I've never heard of. I doubt doing as well as we are here on YouTube. Remember to subscribe, share, like. And she's going on with Don Lemon, another not so swift individual, to talk about how she thinks JD Vance is like the dumbest of the dumb. And that Amy Coney Barrett, a Supreme Court Justice, is the dumbest of the dumb. And I guess she's got a few others along the way. Let's listen in.
As smart as I know my ass is, Ketanji Brown is smarter. Smartest person I've ever met in my life. When you smart, I'm smart. That lady is smart on a level I've never seen before. And her 3 roommates were even smarter. These girls were so smart that we were shocked that we'd ever met anybody that intelligent. And Amy Coney Barrett, on the other hand, is a Supreme Court justice just like Ketanji, even though her qualifications are minuscule compared to Ketanji's. Maybe that's the affirmative action we've been getting. White people who are essentially mediocre in scale compared to a black person getting the spot because they wanted a conservative. Maybe the way that JD Vance got into Yale is because they were tired of just letting in white men from New York, from Choate, from all the elite schools, and they wanted an Appalachian white. That's how that man got into Yale, I promise you. Same thing with Ron DeSantis from a small town in Florida. They wanted to just get out of the New York, D.C. matrix, Massachusetts matrix, and let somebody into Harvard and Yale who came from a different place. He came from Florida. Baby, that's also affirmative action and DEI. So before y'all start going crazy about DEI just meaning they let black people in just on the basis of being black, think a little more critically and think about the fact that it's also disabled people, military veterans, people who come from Appalachia, white folks who come from Alaska and different places that they don't normally come from, indigenous people, Latinos, Asians. And the last thing I'll say about this, for all of y'all people on Fox that are going to clip this because y'all mad about affirmative action, because yes, I embrace affirmative action because I belonged at Harvard and I was smarter than all the legacies I went to school with, who only were there because they were rich and their parents had a name on one of the buildings and they didn't go to class and I did. So I'm just going to let y'all know that we see affirmative action as these schools searching for people they wouldn't have ordinarily found without deliberately looking for us. They would have just let the same mediocre white men from rich families in. But instead, they let me in. And because of that, you now have the ability to attack me, right wingers. You have the ability to know who I am when I don't know who most of y'all are. But you know me because affirmative action brought me your way. Tell the Lord, thank you. Be grateful for all that God has given you. God knows what God is doing. She a smart, smart lady.
Woo! Okay, here's JD's comeback. I'm like, JD, did you really do that? Because if you did, gosh, he's funny. Or did someone on his team? I don't know, but that was pretty funny. That was his comeback. Brilliant. Brilliant. JD, you got to have a sense of humor in this world, right? But let's face it, she's there no longer on TV. Why? Because she couldn't actually get a rating, and because she just insulted people all the time, and because she actually told people that they should break up with their families at Christmas and Thanksgiving because you can't be all kiki, I think was the direct quote, with your family if they voted for Trump. So that's not exactly what we would call a positive influence on society. Now, is it? Amy Coney Barrett, why did she take down Ketanji? Remember that one? She was like, basically, the principle of dissent focuses on conventional legal terrain. Justice Jackson, however, chooses a startling line of attack that is tethered neither to these sources nor, frankly, to any doctrine whatsoever. In other words, she's saying Ketanji's kind of a moron who doesn't actually write anything with supporting evidence in the law. She just throws out a whole bunch of emotion in her telling the fundamental role of the courts is to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law, full stop. She offers a vision of the judicial role that would make it even most ardent defender of judicial supremacy blush. We will not dwell on Justin Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this: Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. I mean, it was great, right? And even Sonia Sotomayor kind of chimed in, because at least she had like a decent argument. But no, Ketanji, she didn't. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know why she's there exactly. Somebody liked her. Didn't Biden say he was going to put in a black woman? Period. That's all he cared about, just a black woman. White men need not apply. Isn't that like unconstitutional, right? Like, isn't that actually discrimination? White men need not apply. White women need not apply. You know, and this woman, yeah, she loves her DEI. She's all about DEI, which is going bye-bye. No more at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, any of those places. You actually have to get in. You actually have to have good grades. You actually have to have SAT scores. Imagine that.
As many times as I have been called DEI or an affirmative action baby and all that, you know what I never get? Mad. Because I actually am very much in favor of DEI. I don't take that as an insult, because I understand that that means that I'm just damn excellent and innovative. And yeah, I am DEI. I'm bringing diversity, and that's bringing something great. You're not insulting me. If you say, oh, you're an affirmative action person that got into Harvard, I'm like, yeah, I got into Harvard with affirmative action, and Yale, and Brown, and also, Vassar, and the University of Denver.
Wouldn't you rather have gotten in there because you're smart? I mean, I'm just asking the question. Joy, wouldn't you have rather gotten in there on your own merit because you deserved it? I mean, a real meritocracy, that's what it is. We can't fix things after the fact, guys. I mean, I love it. So some of you may have heard this story before, but it's fascinating to me. So they still have a system. I have a classical music background. I studied opera for a number of years, and occasionally you get to hear me sing. And the news is pretty operatic, right? So, I followed my calling after all. But anyway, I have a background in music, so I know these quirky things. And they still hold orchestral auditions for the New York Philharmonic or for the Boston Symphony or for Philadelphia or any LA symphony. All of these orchestral auditions are held behind a screen where you have no idea who is playing the violin or the flute or anything else. You don't know their gender. You don't know whether they're white, black, Asian. You don't know anything about them. You only listen to see how beautifully they can play that instrument. Because you see, when you're playing in an orchestra, everybody has to play together. And the orchestra actually has to be in tune and sound great and magnificent and all those things. So if you can't really play your instrument at a level that would be something that the New York Philharmonic would expect, then you shouldn't be in the New York Philharmonic, now should you? But you know what the latest call is? They're flipping out saying, no, we can't have this because we don't have enough black musicians in the New York Philharmonic. To which I say, hey, you know what? You can't just suddenly pick up the violin when you're 20 or even 15 or even 10, okay? The violinists that wind up making it to the New York Philharmonic, guess what? They start when they're like 3 or 4 years old, and they practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day. It's a hard instrument to get really, really good at. Same thing with any of these instrumentalists that are in these orchestras. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication from a very early age. So you can't come in with a DEI mandate after the fact and say, we're going to make the New York Philharmonic great by getting rid of standards. We don't care if they play in tune or not. Oh, they just have the right skin color. That's not going to work. Because then what's your orchestra going to sound like? Isn't it more fair to actually have it behind a screen so you don't know the sex, the age, the skin color of the individual? Seems like it makes sense to me, but not for these DEI people, right? No. They have a whole other mandate going on. They don't care how bad the New York Philharmonic sounds. I guarantee you she probably can't hear whether or not it's actually in tune. Anyway, it's like my curse. I have like perfect pitch. Sometimes it's difficult when I hear things that are out of tune. It's very hard on me. But, I have a lot of years of training. And my expectation is if I spend $200 on a ticket to go hear the New York Phil, they better be playing in tune.